Good morning, good people. Coming to you again from Hope Hill Center, Skamu, for another podcast. Today I have a very intriguing and interesting guest. Besides me, may my guest please introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone who's watching the podcast, and good morning to you too, Kamu. My name is Mxolisi. I'm a fully blown recovering addict.
Okay, nice. Thanks for the introduction. Basic introduction, but can you please give us a more intriguing introduction in terms of background? Where's Mxolisi from? What's Mxolisi about?
Okay, as I said, I am a guy who's in recovery. I was born and raised in Soweto. I was raised by a single mom and as well as my grandmother. I'm also a dad to a 10-year-old daughter. I'm also a brother to 3 siblings. I'm the oldest one. And yeah, there is family, but that's my immediate family. And yeah, with the extended family, my uncle, my cousins, and everyone. So my whole entire life, I could say 6 years of school. I did my 6 years, and Soweto I did the other 6 years for KZN. So
Okay.
yeah, until I completed my matric.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for that introduction. So for the first question, how was it and what happened?
That's a very good question. Okay, I was also active for 17 years.
Yeah.
I know when that question comes, or when I answer that question, or say or comment on that, saying I was active for 17 years, like you'll ask, how old is this guy? So basically, 2001, I picked up literally my first drink.
Yeah.
And to me today, since I'm a guy who's in recovery, alcohol is also a social acceptable drug. So then it continued to me taking street drugs. When I explain my life experience when it comes to active addiction, number one, I picked up drugs to feel good. And believe you me, with the first drug or the first drink that I took, I did feel good, because growing up, I could say I was more of an introvert. Then once I started taking alcohol, it was like, where have you been all along? Then you're taking me out of this cage that I was in, the mental cage, I could say, the mental slavery, and alcohol and drugs became the perceived answer for everything.
Yeah.
So the feel good part, it only comes as a thought, because at home, I think they only realized after 4 years that I'm taking drugs and alcohol. So the feel good part, it's where I only take drugs or alcohol maybe on a Friday, Saturday, then Monday I go back to normal. It's either I go to school or I go to work. Then it took about 4 years. I could say it's the part where I was still in the experimental phase. Then the second part now, it's where now I'm using drugs and alcohol to feel normal. Feel normal in whichever way, to say, number one, I started being antisocial before I could actually take any drink or any drugs,
Yeah.
and I started now facing withdrawals. And it's funny how it works, because the time I was on the feel good part, which is the experimental part, I will actually tell the guys or share with the guys to say, me as Mxolisi, I don't experience withdrawals. Now I can use and stop at any time.
Yeah,
These things don't control me. Then I saw myself being in the second stage now. The second stage now, I'm using drugs and alcohol, as I said, to feel normal, whereby now I cannot have a proper conversation with someone before I can actually indulge or take any substance. And now, the time I was working, I cannot start work before me taking anything. And now the second phase, it's where now I'm starting to face consequences. When I'm talking about consequences, I'm talking about sharp. At first, it becomes those consequences which I keep them to myself.
Yeah.
Whereby I'll go, and I went to all major banks and borrowed money. From there, I went to micro lenders. From micro lenders, I went to face-to-face consultations, which is the Mashonesas or loan sharks, where now financially I'm starting to struggle. And once the financial aspect comes into my life, whereby now I'm blacklisted, to a point I'm blacklisted, I cannot do anything, then it starts whereby it affects me emotionally and mentally, because now when I get paid, my things that I need to do, they are more than
What you're getting paid.
what I'm getting paid. Yes, that's right. then to a point whereby now what I will do, it's either I'll quit the job, thinking if I get my monies, your provident fund, whatever, then I'll be able to start a business. I've been trying to start a business for like almost 20 years in my active days, but even today I haven't started one because now I have a mind actually that forgets once I start taking substance. You know? I suffer from more. I take one drink and the body requires more, and I cannot stop until something happens to me. I was this kind of a guy. Now, when the second stage happens to feel good, I'm the first guy to go to a bottle store. I'm the first one to go to a dealer, and I'm the last one to leave the bottle store or the tavern or the pub when they close. So I can only stop when something happens to me or when I don't have money. And consequences now starts to happen, and there are those consequences when it comes to active addiction that one needs to work on them, you know, because when I've only mentioned things like money, material, all of those things. There are consequences of which you face, like number one, trust. You know,
They don't trust you anymore.
trust me anymore. Being able to keep a promise. Love is gone, hope is gone from people who love me, you know, and now then I saw myself now being in the third stage. So the third stage is very crucial because I was in a point whereby I'm using drugs and alcohol not to feel anymore whatever is going around me, because now I have lost a lot of things. People have drawn lines, people have rejected me, a lot of things have just happened. Now I'm starting to become unemployable, whereby nobody can hire me, and now even to send a CV becomes a problem because now the obsession is so high that the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I just think about drugs and I just think about alcohol. Then the things that I will do for my drugs and alcohol is to go to any length, you know, started stealing, started doing some things, manipulation, you know, going to people, borrowing money, knowing very well that I won't have money to pay them, selling my own things, starting from my furniture, you know, starting to pawn like your radios, your TV, even the bed. You know, active addiction is so hard to a point that my room ended up becoming empty. It ended up becoming a hall, and obviously I start by selling my own things. At a later stage, I started now selling people's things. I started stealing. I started manipulating my family. I've stolen a lot of things from my family to a point when they draw a line for me. I had to go out, and going out now, stealing for the community, you know, stealing for the community, stealing for people around me, doing a lot of things where at some point I ended up in jail, you know, because of my own doings. So then what happens at that particular moment is that I'm just gonna use not to feel anymore, because I've been trying to stop, but I'm failing dismally, because now the last stage, I'm inclined mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as well as physically. Sometimes the mind can say to me, you need to stop. But at the same time, spiritually, I need my substance and I'm going to take it. And after taking it, the guilt and the shame comes in. Now I'll start crying, not knowing what I'm crying for. And there was a time in point I prayed to God. I've tried everything. My mother was very supportive. Even my grandmother went to psychiatrists, went to different doctors, went to any traditional healers, even going to different types of churches. And don't get me wrong, those things, they do work in their own ways. Just that the problem was me. I was not clean on the inside. So those things will just bounce back and go back. My family tried everything.
Yeah. That's yeah. That's practically everyone's addiction story, but it's not the same, but there's similarities in most of our, let me say, stories as addicts, you know, because we tend to undermine addiction in a sense of like, even me when I was looking, you know, I only found out when I used to watch the movies and I see people in a circle. They're like, oh, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. I'm like, look at these idiots. Come to find out, I'm going to be there one day. You understand? Like, it's a sense of, we undermine it. You understand? Like we don't see the power it actually has, and that's the thing. In a sense of in the country, so many people are struggling from it, and that's the crazy thing. So many people are not educated about it. That's why it takes so long for us to realize that we're in rock bottom, because we could be in rock bottom for like 15 years and only realize it once someone actually tells you, you know? Because I was listening to some other shit, he was talking about identification. That's how one person can actually see that, no, man, I'm an addict. You know, if I can identify with what you're telling me, like the actions, like I'm identifying with you stealing at home, stealing from others, selling my own things, selling other people's things. It's the same thing, same behavior. Yeah, man. In that sense, what led you to pick up your first drug, and what made you continue?
What led me to pick up, number one, how people see it. Also, those are some things that are dominating in this addiction thing. Number one, I could say I don't think anyone will just pick up drugs alone,
Yeah,
and say go to a
yeah,
merchant and pick up and do whatever. There's people around you, and at the same time, there's a lot of dominating factors when
yeah.
it comes to that. It might be peer pressure, to
Influence.
say, okay, sharp, try this, because I was drinking heavily before I could actually progress to street drugs. And the drug of choice that I was picking up, it was the kind of drug of choice whereby they told me that, you know what, if you can take this drug, you'll be able to balance both alcohol and the drugs.
Yeah.
This one will actually, it's like a downer, because once you drink, you become high, and sometimes then once you start picking up this DOC, you'll be in a equilibrium form. And believe you me, the first day it did happen, and not me knowing, as I said, the first stage whereby I'll only smoke here and then, and it did not affect me until I saw myself now going alone to the dealer, going to the dealer. Now that the progression started to a point whereby now I'm going to a dealer. Now I have all the apparatus or the paraphernalia that is used to use this type of drug. Now I know people that I can start to hang around with. Only me not knowing, before I came into this journey of recovery, not knowing that anybody who's picking up drugs or alcohol, there is an underlying issue. And that underlying issue is the one which is the difficultest one, because that is why denial for 17 years. I could say in the 17 years of me using, it's denial, because the 17 years, it's a long time, but once you are in active addiction, it's short and long. Because I cannot lie and say there were good days in active addiction, but the bad days in active addiction, it's like they are so horrible, because I'll find myself in dark places. There are places of which, when I think about today, and I'm very grateful to God that God did save me on this particular situations, because I was supposed to be dead, places that I've been to and things that I have done. So this thing of me picking up somehow, there's a timing point whereby I did not have control over my addiction at all, because now once I start picking up drugs or any form of substance, even my thinking changes, and things that I do changes. I will end up doing things that I cannot do whilst I'm clean or whilst I'm sober. But once I start picking up, believe you me, I can steal anything. I usually tell people that, if like there was a pawn shop for people, I think I'll still be there. In that particular pawn shop, because I'll just pawn myself and get drugs on a daily basis. I'll still be there. But now, because I've done everything that you can think of just to get my drug of choice.
Yeah, sweet, man. I like that answer. Gives a deep thing. Yeah, with also me. One perspective I always had was like, no, man, I'm doing this active thing because it's fun, it's nice. Until I realized that, no, man, mainly the main big reason around it is because my dad and my mom were never in my life. So I always had that attachment issue. I need to be around people too, so they can make me feel like I'm good enough. I need to be around people so I can show my value, because I didn't know my value, because I was like to myself, I'm useless, because why would my mom and dad not want to be in my life? You understand? But in a sense, for these 6 years, before it went to the 2 years where it was heavy, for those 6 years, I was like to myself, no, I'm doing this for fun. And personally, for me, the peer pressure wasn't a thing of, no, man, try this and thing. You know, sometimes I realized that my peer pressure was seeing someone doing my DOC, but living normally, in a sense of, it's not getting in the way of anything. They're getting, the grades are fine, school is fine, they're not getting in trouble. That was my peer pressure. I was like, okay, man, I want to be like that. He can use it and be fine. So can I. But then as soon as I got into it, because that's the thing about me, it progressed very quickly, because I also used to have my reason in the sense of, no, this person does it, this close family person does it, why can I not? You understand? But yeah, active addiction is tough. It's tough. It makes you see a demon within you, and it's sad because at the time that we're inactive, we tend to generalize things in terms of we're alone. We need to face everything alone. No one loves us, and we don't understand that we're the fuck up. We put ourselves in that situation where people wash their hands with us. They tell us, "Man, we're done with you." But in a sense, like, you being in addiction, who were the people it hurt and affected the most, and how?
Yeah, I could say my brothers
Mm,
and my sister, my grandmother, and my mother. My mother doesn't know the guy who's sitting down with you here. You know, my mother passed on whilst I was still active. Somewhere, somehow in this journey of mine, sometimes I'll think whatever. But those are the people that were affected, because I still remember this other day. My grandmother literally cried tears and asked me that, okay, what is it that we can do for you so that you can become a better man? As you said, grades, whatever at school, you were all right at school, so you have potential, but can't you see this thing is actually killing you? You're digging your own grave, you know?
yeah.
And believe you me, I did dig my own grave, because I could say I was 6 feet underground, and the things that were happening whilst I was there is just that I was still fortunate that the grave wasn't closed as yet, you know. But being in that grave, whereby the darkest things happens, whereby I'm just circulating in that grave. The only thing that I thought it was light when I only have drugs, you know. So there's a lot of people, even my daughter included, was affected by me picking up, you know. And as you were talking, you mentioned something of which I can relate to. And now we are going deep, you know, going deep. When we started the podcast, we spoke about everybody, where I said actually everybody picking up drugs and alcohol, there is an underlying issue. And that particular underlying issue, it's what we call trauma, or underlying issue, whichever way. So what happens is that I only realized or started to actually learn that trauma is not what happens to you, but trauma is what happens inside you. You know, so as I said, you also ask a question to say what led me to pick up. What led me to pick up, me going deep now, it's the void that I had, the spiritual void that I had in me. So this is how a mind of a person works. There's the subconscious mind where we bury things that we don't want to talk about. And there's the pre-conscious mind where we only bury the happy events. And there's the conscious mind that we are using right now. So when we are talking about the subconscious mind, there are things that get instilled or filled in the subconscious mind. Number one, I was raised by a single mother. I only met my dad at the age of 7. And it was me the first time going to KZN. So my dad was was a very strict guy. Was a very strict guy, a neat guy. My dad was always wearing a brand new trouser and all of that. So a guy, you can just picture a guy who's wearing a brand new is the kind of guy that you cannot get close to him. You'll never see a guy wearing a brand new playing or kicking a ball or wearing brand new when it's raining because it's a trouser of installment. So as kids, from the age of 5, 6, 7, some of us it might be 4. Let me say to the age of 9, 10, we learn by seeing and hearing. So at that particular moment when I met my dad and all of that stuff, so in me, rejection was being stored whilst I could not play with this guy at the distance that I had with my dad, right? Not being able to get a hug with my dad, not being able to kick ball with my dad. So rejection was being stored, not being good enough was stored as well, and not being accepted was stored. So the time I was growing up, those things were just buried on the subconscious mind. So the meantime I picked up my first drink, it was like they were removing these things that were on my subconscious mind. Because when it comes to life in general, for example, let's say me going to high school now, thinking I'm a grown guy now, I'm more matured. I go for this particular lady to approach this young lady to say, hey, this is me, this is Mxolisi. I think I'm in love with you, or in which way I send a letter, I write a letter, then I send a letter to this particular lady. And once this lady brings back the outcome saying, no, I don't love you, it fetches that file of me, things that took place at the age of 5, 6, 7, things like that. If I ask anybody, let's say my mom, I ask my mom $500 and my mom is like, no, I don't have money. To me, it fetches a file of rejection. So basically, that's what happened to me inside me. That was my underlying issue. The underlying issue, it's the absent dad and things that were instilled in my subconscious mind. It was the ones that I've just mentioned, rejection, not being good enough. So I grew up like that particular guy. I usually, when I share with people to say how actually I was dealing with my traumas, the time I was still active. Once I started picking up drugs and alcohol, what will happen is that Monday to Thursday I'll save my pocket money. Then on Friday I buy booze for the guys. Then when I buy booze, they'll say, hey Mxolisi, when you are a good guy, when then what happens, it temporarily removes what on the subconscious mind. It removes that not being accepted by accepting by other guys. And it's funny, the time I started drinking, when I was just growing up in this addiction thing, or growing up as a boy, I never hanged around with boys who are younger than me or boys who are my same age. I will always hang around with people who are older than me, and not knowing that I was actually looking for my dad, but not being aware. So the sense of comfort that I got, it was, this guy is older than me. This guy in a way replaced a dad. This guy at the same time, they accept me with alcohol. So for me to be this cool guy, I need to have alcohol so that I can be accepted in that particular a group or whatever, then only to find out that it's a spiritual void. Basically, that's how I ended up becoming addicted, or that's how my process of the journey, rather, of addiction started. It was because of those things, because those things still affected me in a long run, even if the time I was working, right? If, let's say, just a simple example, I apply for a job or maybe for a promotion. If my application gets rejected, to me, it fetches that file of rejection. So Mxolisi, with the things that were instilled in me, that is why in recovery we say, I'm not responsible for my addiction, but I'm responsible for my own recovery. Because things that were instilled in me are the things that I did not call for myself. And at the same time, don't get me wrong, I will mention my dad, whatever, then maybe somebody watching might think, hey, this guy maybe hates his dad so much.
It's not like that.
Yes, recovery has given me actually a chance. Then later on, I'll discuss on how did I get the tools on working myself and being able. I have forgiven my dad, although my dad is part of my life. Even if I can go to any country, become a trillionaire, when I come back, he'll still be my dad.
Exactly. It's
Right?
not going to change.
It's not
going to
gonna
change.
But my dad is not part of my journey.
Yeah.
Is not part of my journey because as I'm sitting here, my dad doesn't know where I stay. Like home Soweto.
Yeah.
It's home Soweto. He doesn't even know where I stay. He doesn't even know when is my birthday. You know? But I love that guy to bits. He's still alive. Yeah, but that's why I'm saying he's part of my life. So when I say he's part of my life, he's the kind of guy that for example, let's say I'm gonna get married. I can only tell him the date. You know, I can only tell him the day. That day, listen, dude, I'm getting married on this particular day. So if you can come, I'll be happy. So I don't expect him to come. I can only hope that he comes because expectations is something else.
Yeah, there's this other guy, he says expectations are pending resentment. Because once your expectations are not met, it automatically becomes a resentment. You start resenting that. No, why does that person not do that to me? And then it also fills in that subconscious, like you said, it brings up that certain thing of, okay, no, I'm not accepted. Oh no, I'm not good enough. There's a reason why this person didn't meet this expectation. But yeah, man. So I hear that you said you've been introduced to so many things, churches, traditional doctors, all this, right?
Yes.
So for it not to work there in the first time, what was wrong? What mindset did you have?
The mindset, as I said, remember I have those things that I have in my subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And as well, there were times where I'll go, should I say open-minded? Yeah, let me say a little bit of open-mindedness. I'll go there. But the problem, I wanted instant gratification.
Oh, you want it now. I must be healed now.
To say, okay, please forgive me for what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I wanted instant gratification to say, this guy, if he puts hands on me, I need to go out here and no longer crave for drugs. No longer, no craving everything.
No emotional, no, yeah.
Exactly. But by the time I go out, it begins again. It begins again.
Back to square one.
Back to square one. And as you said, expectations.
Oh, you had already set expectations before you got in there.
Exactly. Then it will take me back because expectations give me a sense of entitlement.
Yes.
I'm entitled to such and such and such and such and such. So once I have expectations, I need things to be the way that they're supposed to be. The results that are in my head, I need to see them by my naked eyes.
Yeah.
And if they do not happen, it leads me to disappointments. And once Mxolisi is disappointed, he indulges in substance.
Because now you don't want to feel that disappointment.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So it's one of those things. And yeah, man, but active addiction, it's something else because the 17 years of being active, it's long, but it's short.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's short when it's like that week whereby you have money, you have everything, you have the DOC, you have the friends around you. It's very short, you know. It's like Monday to Sunday is chai, but then when it's that day where you don't have money, you don't have food, you don't know when your next fix is coming, it feels like a flipping long time because now you're thinking plan A is not working, plan B, plan C. Now it feels like the world is ending because now we've become so dependent on this thing that, like, if it's not there, it feels like the world is ending because now, since we do not want to feel, currently when we're in that situation of plan A to B to Z is not working, that's when we start feeling, and that's when the subconscious opens up automatically. You understand? So yeah, no, definitely there I understand. Hey, active addiction is a whole nother thing, man. You know, they said this to me that in active addiction, you're running away from yourself.
Yes,
you're not running towards yourself. You're running away from the traumas. You're running away from the pain. You're running away from the person that you You are. That's why they say in active addiction, you lose yourself. Because in a sense, like, you don't know what you want, you don't know what you need. You just revolve your life around that cycle, waking up, using, doing whatever, sleep, same thing all over again. Then you tend to lose yourself. That, who am I? What are my passions? What are my wants? What are my desires? What are my needs? Who do I need to communicate with? The people around me, do I love them? You don't care. You just base everything around that DOC. So in that sense, right, for would you say that trauma was the thing that kept you going for those 17 years? And in a sense of, you probably reached rock bottom before 17 years. Probably like you said, 8, I think. In
Yes.
8 years. But then what kept you going for the remaining years?
Okay. Number one, there was a timing point whereby I concluded
Yeah.
that I'm
Okay.
going to die an addict.
Yeah.
I'm going to die an addict. I've tried everything, but I'm failing dismal.
Okay.
As you were saying, I've been running away from myself.
Yeah.
There were times whereby I did try recovery, but trying recovery in a way that I did not work on myself.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
understand? So I could say there's a difference between social acceptability and recovery.
Yeah.
Social acceptability, I go to rehab, you come back fat, you come back clean, you come back wara wara. Then people start accepting you. Family say, okay, Sharp, you stole my microwave. It's okay. Let it go. We've already bought a new one. Then I got confused to say, this is recovery.
All right.
Those traumas were still there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because even on the 17 years, I think after the first stage,
Yeah.
which was like 4 years, now going into the second stage whereby I'm using to feel normal, consequences are starting to happen. On the first day, after that particular 4 years or 5 years, I've been trying to stop. I'll tell myself today I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Then once I pick up, let's say after a week or 2 weeks, after staying clean or sober, then once I start pick up, then there's guilt and shame and blame.
Yes.
So now I'm no longer picking up drugs because I want to smoke. I'm picking up drugs because now I think I'm a failure.
Yeah, and you don't want to feel that.
I don't want to feel it, that I'm a failure. And once now I'm using drugs or drinking alcohol because of those things, then I increase my dosage.
Yeah, because tolerance obviously also went higher.
Yes. Then once I take more and more and more, when I wake up in the morning, obviously I need to take something.
Yeah.
There was a timing point. Addiction just changes seats in a Titanic.
Yeah.
I'll stop drugs. Think if I'm taking alcohol,
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm no longer an addict.
Yes, this one is socially acceptable. There will be timing point whereby let me just gamble.
Yeah, I'm not an addict, you know?
So that I can be okay. You know, gambling, at least I go there, I do whatever I do, I have money. So let me just gamble. And I don't get enough, bro. I don't get enough of whatever I do.
It's obsession.
It might be sex, it might be food, it might be anything. I don't get enough of what I do. Because now the void in me, basically addiction is taking everything on the outside and trying to put it inside you.
Definitely.
Just to feel that void.
Definitely.
There was a time in active addiction, I told myself there are those type of drugs that I will never do.
Yeah.
And there are things that I will never do when I'm active. But I ended up crossing all those lines that and the never things to do. I ended up doing them. There was a timing point I told myself that I'll never take this particular drug because this one doesn't make me sleep.
Yeah.
I'll never take this type of alcohol because this one is for losers.
Yeah.
I'll never take this type of drug because this one is making me sleep. This one doesn't make me hustle. But one day I found myself, I was in a room, and now in a room I'm using everything that I thought I was running away from. So basically taking everything that was in front of me, because now, even you said what kept me going was it because of my traumas. You also need to understand that when the traumas or whatever, it also grows. And when it comes to life in general, there are things that are happening. But to me, when they come to me, they intend now to have a different excuse or a different perspective, right? Even later on. So it does not mean that because now I'm in recovery, things don't happen that can affect me internally.
Yeah,
My
definitely.
mom passed on 2013. Then now I had another excuse.
Oh yeah, because like she
To
passed away in
use.
2013.
Yes.
Why don't I just use?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now I had another excuse to use to say, hey, listen, Gemanje. Now this person is gone. So in a way, death became another
Excuse.
form. Yes.
Yeah, like you won't understand what I've been through. I grew up without my dad. Now I lost my mom.
Yes.
You won't understand.
Exactly. So now it made me use more and more. It made me use and more. So there are a lot of things, even that the trauma that actually after my mother passed away, you know what I did? I went and worked in a mortuary. Yes, I went and worked in a mortuary.
Why?
So that my mom was very close to me. So I wanted to see what happened to people when they die.
Yeah.
And at that particular moment,
That's
I
crazy.
thought it was going to be easy for me to deal with this.
Oh, deal with the trauma of your mom passing on.
Let me tell you another secret, bro. I carried my mother's death for 6 years.
So that's until 2019.
Yes, sir. Until I went into recovery. I could not let go of my mother's death. I'm a guy who always smiles. Ask me, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. But internally, people will ask me, are you okay? Yes. But once I get into my room,
It's something else.
because this committee, this is another committee.
Yeah, no, upstairs. Yeah, it's like a boardroom.
Yeah, it's like a boardroom. Sometimes it becomes like parliament.
Yeah.
At some point, EFF wants to rule. DA
Exactly.
wants to rule.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Data Freedom Party. Sometimes it's ANC.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of committees in this head of mine. Then that's why I change colors like a chameleon, because if I give a chance to EFF, then EFF's gonna rule. I give a chance to
ANC,
yes, exactly.
DA. It's a
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Then all of those things, man, there's a lot of things that took place that will happen to me. I will still be rejected in relationships. Then yeah, it kept me going. It kept me going because I did not clean what was on my subconscious mind.
Yeah. But there's this. At first, that I was like, when I went into rehab, I was like, okay, since I'm going to rehab, all the traumas that I have, I'm going to face them, and they're going to they're going to leave me. But then, as I was in rehab, my counselor had told me, read this book. The book is by John Cornfield, Perils of a Spiritual Life, right? So there's this chapter, it's called Living Within the War. You understand? So in that chapter, it speaks about the misconception humans have is that we let go. We think that once we do something like therapy, we let go of those things. And it's not like that. It's not letting go of it. It's actually accepting and living with those. Like accepting that, okay, my parents were never in my life, and just living with it. Okay, no, yes, they were never in my life. Let it not be an excuse for me to do other things. Let it just be there. You understand? Once I face it, it shouldn't be a thing of every constant day. If anyone talks about my mom, I become emotional. Yes, I will be certain times, but then as long as I accepted it and I live within it, rather than trying to accept it, throw it away, because at the end of the day, like it or not, that is what made me to become who I am today. You understand? So if I accept it, it's going to be something that also builds my character in terms of in other situations. Like because my mom passed away in grade 2, I didn't understand, because I when I saw her, in the casket in grade 2, I was like, okay, what's going on? Down the line, grade 8. Okay, so it started grade 7. Once I started seeing people, okay, damn, people's parents are coming to pick them up. They're coming to thingy. And then that's when it started hitting that, damn, actually she is gone. There's times where even till today, I'm like, what could have my life been if she was still alive? You understand what I'm saying? But then I come to realize that I need to accept it and live with it, that this is what happened and this is what made me who I am today. It's either I'm going to carry it and move with it and love that it happened, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be in this specific chair right now. You understand? Because they say everything happens for a reason. So in a sense, if you want to let go of those things, what is the purpose for letting go of those things? It's just rather living with them, because once you live with them, you've accepted them and you've actually understood that it actually did happen to me, and it helps with not living with denial. Because if you can do that for the major traumas, small things won't be that big to conquer. Instead of maximizing those things, you'd actually not necessarily minimize, but be easier to walk through it, rather than being like, okay, no, she passed on, let me go use. I'm starting to feel that I miss her in my life. What could have been? Let me go use not to feel. It's processing and understanding that, okay, no, it did happen. So let it be and let me move on with life. You understand what I'm saying? So, in that sense, like you said, you did try recovery a few times, right? How was it when you were introduced to recovery for the first time ever?
When I was introduced to recovery the first time, it was more of a break. It was more of a break
Uh,
because I did not go into recovery,
Willingly.
yes, for
Oh,
myself. I was
okay.
still pleasing my family.
Oh, you wanted to get them off your back.
Yes, then I went into recovery. There's something that you spoke about. When I went into treatment the last time, which was 2013, the 8th of August, things now were different. As I said, I buried my mother's death. So what happens is that you spoke about therapy. Therapy will only give you the tools. Yes, will only give you the tools. Then acceptance is the mental key to freedom.
Yeah, and it comes from you, no
Yes.
one else.
Yes. I cannot say, Kamu, please borrow me your acceptance.
Yeah, no
Right.
way.
I cannot. So, there's some things profound you spoke about, to say the passing of your mom. Even today, I still ask myself, is that lady seeing what I'm doing right now?
Yeah. You're not the only one.
Yes,
Yeah,
is he seeing what
yeah,
I'm doing right now? Then, as you say, therapy gives me the tools and everything that I require to work on myself, right?
yeah.
So what will happen? Obviously, there's that particular time where you'll sit with family and everybody's happy, right?
Yes.
Then they start now having that particular conversation. Hey, you remember? Hey,
Oh yeah, back then, taking
yes,
you back
I
there.
was like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My mother was like this. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wouldn't happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I was selfish in a way when it comes to me losing my mother, because my mother died in my late 20s, right?
Yeah.
And I was selfish in a way because I'm the oldest. I'm the firstborn child.
Yeah.
And the others did not get the love that I got
Oh,
because
okay.
it was cut off. So right now, when all of those conversations they do happen, I intend to take all the positive things. Then I have accepted the role that I need to play. The role that I need to play is to become an older brother.
Yeah.
And an older brother, what I can do is, because I can still remember all the positive things that she instilled in me. So now it's my time to
pass it
carry
on.
it over. So basically, that's what recovery is. And one thing, don't get me wrong. When I share to people, I'll usually say that I thank God for taking my mom. Ne? Because why I say that, God had to remove my mother from me so that I can become the man that I am today.
Yeah.
It was time. And when it comes to acceptance, death is inevitable. Kim.
Yeah. We're all gonna pass on. We
Yes,
don't
it's
know when.
inevitable. So, number one, that was the first step of me accepting, now, ne? My mother is gone. Nobody has control when it comes to death. It's only God. So God is opening another door for me. Yes, it comes with pain. Even
Yeah.
today, I cannot explain to anyone the
Yeah.
pain of losing a mother.
Yeah.
Because hey, you know what people usually say? You'll find maybe an older person, let's say, for example, the age of 50, right? The person say, no, no, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay, man. Man, these things happen, whatever. Then 2 hours later, you hear this person calling his mom, right? But this person was telling you that things are gonna be all right. So a mother will always have a special place in your heart.
Yeah.
As you said, acceptance. I have accepted that. Okay, the lady is gone. The only thing that I can do now is to do whatever that I think will make her happy.
Yeah.
And now, once I came into recovery, I had an opportunity now to say, may your soul continue resting in peace. Understand? Because now I'm doing what you wanted. My mother, no matter what I did, my mother never said to me, hey, when I buy me a bride pack, buy me a what? You'll just say, stop your nonsense. So, number one, I am fulfilling her dream by
Stop
just
the
saying,
nonsense.
yes, this is the kind of guy that she wanted,
Yeah. That's why sometimes when people ask me about my mom in sense of, then I tell them and they're like to me, oh, sorry, that I tend to say sometimes, that's why I say I've accepted it. Like, I feel like it's worse like, not necessarily comparing, but it's worse on how you lost your mother because you grew up with your mother being there. You everything you did, your mom was there. You understand? But with me, it was a thing of I only saw my mom once in my life. So when she was gone, it was a thing of my mom is gone, but there was nothing there that I could actually hold on to say my mom was actually there. You understand? I could only hold on to the title that is my mother. But rather holding on to the emotional things, the love that she gave me, I can't because it was never there. Same with my dad. You understand? That's why I keep on telling people that when it comes to passing, it's different from people. You understand what I'm saying? Because people, yes, you might find someone in the same exact scenario as me, but they feel worse because why? They grew up from 6 years old until grade 2 with their mother taking them to school. I grew up with my mom not even around. You understand? I only saw her once in my life. So I don't have anything to hold. And I've come to accept that I don't have anything to hold on to besides the fact that she is my mom and she gave me my names and I know where she's buried. That's the only things I can hold on to and say, okay, this is my mom. If you're to ask me emotionally how I felt, I don't know. I was still young and I couldn't hold on to anything. So that's why I tend to say to people that, yeah, man, for me, it's just holding on to the title that she was my mom, you know?
Yo, Kamu. God can do what we cannot do for ourselves.
Yeah.
So what I have realized also being in this recovery journey, my journey, I need you to take this into point.
Yeah.
My journey is surrounded by women.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by women in terms of mothers, right? The mothers, the kind of job that I do is now help people, right? I'm part of the whole peel stuff. So what happens is that 95% of the people that I help, yes, it might be that we are having guys who are coming, but 95% of people I'm helping are mothers. And at first, I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't understand. But now,
Yeah.
it's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
is bringing mothers in a different way, right? Because it's like when I'm actually talking about yesterday, no? Yesterday, there was a guy I helped, and in the morning when I wake up, the mother sent this lady sends me a nice VN, thank you, my son. I really appreciate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I was like, okay, sharp. So what I'm trying to say is that God will bring different people to you who will be able, because of my acceptance, God will bring mothers in a different way. There are people that sometimes they are just clients in a way.
Yeah.
But there are those that I even call today, like, hey, you know what? Hey, mama, get better. Go ganji na ganji na ganji. And I'll get that sense of comfort from that particular person.
So practically how I analyze it in sense, okay, Sharp, you put your mom through torment, right?
Yes, sir.
So practically when you say 95% is mothers, now it's actually like a sign of redemption. You understand what I'm saying? In the sense of, okay, because it's like he's putting you in a place whereby it's your home ground. Because you affected your mom in such a state, you understand? So now you can actually work around it when people are actually hurting their moms and actually be on some, okay, I understand, because you really do understand because you were there. No, I get what you mean.
Exactly.
I get
And
what you mean.
at the same time, it's the me you don't understand of not having a mother. Who God holds you with this same age as your mom, talks about this guy. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is that you are right, but the acceptance, the level of acceptance that gives you freedom, because acceptance is the mental key to freedom. So the freedom comes with a lot of fruits.
Yeah.
That are from recovery. You understand?
I get what you mean.
Yeah. Recovery, it's a journey. It's not a race.
It's not a destination.
Yeah. A race you run now, you finish.
Yeah.
Ooh, you celebrate. But when it comes to recovery,
the race, the end goal is the grave. That's the end.
Exactly. It's a journey. So things are still going to happen to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when it comes to recovery, there's a stage of grief.
Yeah, hey.
When things get tough, and there's a stage of abundance. And believe you me, once there's no grief, you wouldn't be grateful for abundance.
Exactly. It's like there's this other thing on Almighty Bruce. It says, if you pray for patience, God is not going to give you patience. He's going to give you a situation to practice patience. You understand? So yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
So recovery, it's action.
Yeah.
Rather than anything. You asked me a question, hey, daughter, how did you feel on your first rehab? Sharp. The first rehab, it was doing whatever. But 2019,
the last one.
When I went into rehab, I had to sit
Okay,
down.
wait, before you answer that question, how did you know it was time to stop? What told you that, no, man, flip, I'm tired of this? Because like you said, in the past, it was like, nah, I need to stop, God, but I don't know how why. But what clocked for you to be on like, nah, this is time. This is honestly time.
I deck the base of emotional rock bottom.
So you went under the rock bottom.
Under the rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Emotional rock bottom. Whatever. Bro, there was a time whereby drugs were no longer working.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
The high now is not the same. And oh my God, I've been trying to get high for 17 years and I don't get high.
Because you are chasing that first one that you got.
That first one, and unfortunately, you won't get it
anymore. Never.
You know, and it was more of the emotional rock bottom. First, it will start by things on the outside. You know, when we are hustling up and down, whichever it might be in the mall or in your kasi or wherever you stay, then when you see people that you used to grow up with, or people that you used to work with, for example, or people that you used to go to school with, and seeing them being successful in life. So that's some sense of awakening, but not knowing that this is actually an awakening which is connected to the emotions, because at first it will be like, sugar. I don't care about
Yes.
what this person
Yeah,
says. Hey, man, I'm
definitely.
gonna use my drugs. Sometimes you even become honest. I drink.
I
I'm paid. You
smoke.
give me 50
Yeah.
bucks, man.
Yeah.
I want to smoke. Yeah, when you've changed. Hey, remember at school, hey man, I used to protect you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now once you start running away from them, then it's where the problem starts.
Yeah.
Once now you start not being comfortable seeing your family members because of how you look, then those things that you see on the outside, or everything that you're thinking about, things that you used to have, how did you perform at school? There was a timing point where you will have money or wait for money to be
Yeah.
paid, but now you're asking for 1 rand for cigarette or 50 cents in that matter
Yes.
to buy cigarettes. Then once you start being in a place where we are alone, I could now go back to I was running away from myself. So the first step again, it takes us back to acceptance.
Yeah,
To say
definitely.
now, I sat with myself in that particular corner and I said, okay, Mxolisi, what's happening? Right? Then when I start now to solitude,
Yeah.
asking myself those particular questions, is this what you really want?
Yeah.
I don't want this. Then I start seeing tears coming out of my face. Then I will wipe them, and it's like, okay, sharp. I'm going to the dealer, but I don't.
It's not what I really want.
This is what I not really want. It's just that the physical aspect now wants this thing.
Compulsiveness.
Yes,
Yeah.
compulsiveness. This thing now, I do want it. I want to use, but at the same time, I'm tired, And now it boils down to that emotional cluster. It boils down to that emotions being everywhere.
Yeah.
Because there's a timing point, let me just say, once we are using, or once a relapse happens, the emotions, basically what happens at that particular moment, they get out.
Yeah, they restore.
Yes. Then you don't have nothing when it comes to emotions. You don't care about anyone. You don't care about
Emotional bankruptcy.
Yes, you don't basically care about anyone. Then once they start coming back, now you start connecting with yourself, even if you haven't started this journey of recovery. But now I can say we are starting to be
in your skin again.
In my skin, a way, yes,
Yeah,
holistically
in a way.
a way, but not that pure holistic. You understand? Yeah. So one of those things.
So yeah, 2019. What you became Superman. 2019. That's when everything changed.
2019, I remember going to rehab. I went to a rehab, no clothes, only 2 trousers. I think I was even wearing a size 10 shoe or size 9. Did not even have toiletries. Then I went there. I was humble as much as I can. I was actually tired.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when I went into treatment, people will talk, share things, whatever. But to me, it was like, I've done this before. Ne? I've done this before, and I need to come with a different approach. And now the different approach was, I knew everything of everything, right? So now I need to unlearn everything that I
empty your cup.
Yes, on the outside, because obviously everything that I have learned, it
got you there.
Got me there, and I failed dismally. So now let me just listen to what are people going to say.
Yeah.
Let me this time give my counselor a chance, although it wasn't easy. Let me give now the social worker a chance.
Yeah.
Let me also give a doctor a chance. Let me give all the professionals that are in rehab a chance. Because the first time I went into rehab, I had a selection.
Yeah.
Right, of who I prefer when it comes to this journey of recovery.
Okay.
My sponsor asked me, okay, my counselor, sorry, now I'm being forward. My sponsor, my counselor,
yeah.
again. My counselor asked me something to say, okay, What is it that you're going to do different this time? And previously, I did not work the program of recovery.
Yeah, dry drunk syndrome.
Yes, I could say so. As I said, social acceptability and all of that. So I did not use any of the tools that were given for to me, actually, rather from rehab. I did not use any of those tools. So now I had to open my toolbox.
Yeah,
right.
and do the work.
Yes, do the work. When I'm talking about the toolbox were filled with everything from those professionals, to a point whereby also my counselor gave me tools that I need to use for me to be in this journey. And those tools are the tools that I still use them even
Till today.
Yes, because what's keeping me clean even today, right? It's what I have learned in rehab on the 8th of August 2019 till my discharge date. Those are the things that are still keeping me clean. There are some things that in this journey of recovery that I need to do on a daily basis. So recovery, it's being maintained. There's no day off.
Yeah, no, 365.
Yes, there's no day off. As much as I used to use drugs almost every day. So it's the same thing that needs to happen when it comes to recovery, right? So there are tools like the tools that are keeping me going. It has to be the number one tool, which is God.
Yep. Yep.
Then the number two tool, there's the 12 steps of recovery. 6 steps is about my behavior, 6 steps is about God. And you spoke about running away from myself. Then when it comes to the 12 steps doesn't ask me how are you related with Kamu, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It basically asks me the questions about myself.
You're running towards yourself.
Yes. So now I'm facing myself, and at the same time, I'm cleaning myself, because how I was able to see that my dad, in a way, was how can I put it? Was actually a problem in my life in a way. It was me. There's this step which is just step 4, where now I do inventory of myself. All of those fearless things. Because there was a time in point whereby I was the one going to my dad, thinking my dad is gonna change, thinking. So that is why I also mentioned that my dad is part of my life, but not part of my journey. Because now also going back to acceptance, so that's how the steps are helping me. So basically the steps is about writing, writing. And I remember now, as I'm saying, that all the people in rehab, you need to respect them in a way. Because I remember there was this social worker who said to me, when you write something down, it does not have power over you anymore.
Exactly. I was about to say that. You took the words out of my mouth.
So yes. So once I started writing about things that were affecting me, going back now to the committee that we spoke about, because if I do not write about them,
they will be debated up here.
Yes, all these different committees, because this is actually the dangerous neighborhood that I can live on.
Definitely.
Which is my head and my mind or my thinking, whatever.
Leaning on your own understanding.
Yes. Then there's another tool, which is meetings. You spoke about meetings. To be honest to you, when it comes to meetings, I thought this thing is for white people.
Facts.
This is for white people who are bored, who are sitting down. But this is actually something that now I enjoy.
Yes,
because when when I go to meetings, I find guys who are like me. I always regard myself as a guy who's in the middle. Because there is a guy that I'll get maybe with 2 days clean or 30 days clean, and there is a guy of which I will get who's maybe more than me clean, let's say 10 years or 7 years. So I always regard myself as a guy in the middle, because once I look into the guy who's coming, still starting this journey, this guy gives me encouragement to say, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
at life. And once I look into this guy, it's like this
That's
is
where I'm
where
heading.
I'm going. You know, so these two guys are helping me when it comes to decision making and a choice that I need to take on a daily basis of not picking up. So going to meetings, it's where people will share
Yeah,
their
definitely.
experience of how it was and the strength, you know, that the strength that keeps them going, and also giving me hope to say, hey, listen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've been in this particular situation, but hold on, you know, there's hope. You know, if you just continue staying clean, if you don't pick up, you will get where you want to go. You know, all of those dreams now will be fulfilled. And there's what we call again service.
Yeah.
Service now is doing things for people without any expectations, you know.
Next, yeah.
Yes, without any expectations, basically is making somebody's job easier, you know. And service, it's not only about me going and volunteering to somewhere, whatever. If we are working together, right? If you are supposed to do something, then that particular thing, I do it to my best of my ability, so that once you do that thing, it has been done in a proper way. So when it gets to an end result, I have made your job easier. Because the time I was active, once I do something for you, I expect you to pay me, or I expect you to do me a favor. So what happens is that service, it's something which helps me to stay clean and sober, because once I do service, once I do something, it also makes me happy. Then it goes back to that feeling the void, but now I'm doing it for myself, not for anyone. And it also helps me with dealing with my traumas, because also I also need to work on that on a daily basis, because if those things they trigger me, I can still go back to the same guy that I was. You know, me and you know better that there's not I'm not we are not recovered addicts. We are recovering addicts. So it means we will die with this thing,
This
you know.
title. Yes,
And
definitely.
it will only depend on the day that I die. If I die clean and sober, you as a fellow brother, you can say, may his soul, now he has finally recovered.
Yeah.
May his soul rest in peace. But if I died still active, you can say, may you continue recovering, my brother, where you are, you know. And those things. Then the last pillar was busy sponsor. So a sponsor basically is somebody that I got into the program, who was helping me translating the program to me, actually what has helped him to become this guy who he is on that particular day, or even today. So a sponsor, not a sponsor in terms of money or anything. It's somebody who helps me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and also translate the program to me.